clearly a crying need for a libertarian party in the state. In a nutshell, is it time?
Hopefully.
It just, to me, the tenor of the Fung campaign, vicious personal attacks against all, it reminded me almost of one of those communist re-education camps, where if you weren't pure enough in your ideological thought and your adoration of all things Fung, that you somehow didn't deserve to be in the party. Yet, ironically, now they're telling us that we're not real Republicans, but we weren't real Republicans, but we need to vote for them just because they say so.
Now, I've talked to a lot of people, and I've, again, in every interview, have been very deliberate in the way I phrase this. There's a lot of good Republicans, but the Rhode Island Republican Party as a party is, to me, and I've been saying this for a little while now, it's dying on the vine. It's possibly in its death throes. When I talk to, not people like us that are into politics, just, as I'm out campaigning small business owners, just what you would call average guys, they were so disgusted by the way that primary went down that their people, as we've seen on Facebook earlier this week, people have disaffiliated from the Republican Party. They're becoming unaffiliated. And they were just totally put off by that whole process, kind of on their, 10,000-foot level. Now, a lot of the political elites, they kind of ate that whole thing up, but it did damage to what is the few Republicans.
Right, and it's a shame because I think a lot of them are libertarians at heart. They just need to be led down the right path. They need to be shown the way. That's why we need an evangelist like Tony Jones to bring them down the path of righteousness. I believe on the line we've got Jared Moffett. Jared, are you out there?
I'm here, yeah.
Well, again, welcome back to the coalition. If you haven't listened to the show, Jared is a regular contributor to the effort here. A big part of being a libertarian is you support the regulation and legalization of marijuana. We firmly believe that the war on drugs is a failed effort and has led us to many of the social and political and economic problems we have today, including but not limited to an incredible amount of the population that's been incarcerated really for foolishness, a rising cost of the judicial system, the drug cartels prompting a wave of illegal immigration, funding the narcos, funding the oil cartels, and getting together with a variety of Islamic regimes and the other part of the world who are then sponsoring terrorism. You can, any one of them, bring down to the fact that it all leads to beer, right, Jared? It's when is it going to be time? We've been talking about this for a year now. You've got a new political landscape coming on, but you came on to talk about an event that's coming up, and Jared, give our listeners the lay of the land, if you will.
Yeah, I mean, that's pretty well said. I think there's a lot of good reasons that we need to go forward with this. But, yeah, we're going to keep pushing forward. We've got an event coming up this Thursday at 8 p.m. at Aurora in Providence, which is 276 Westminster, and it's called the Cannabis Caucus. It's going to be the first event like this. And it's essentially a chance for anyone who's interested in being a part of the movement to move cannabis policy forward here in our state, to come out and mingle with some folks in our coalition, enjoy some music, and have some conversation about, how we're going to move the ball forward here. I think we have a really good shot in this legislative session coming up in 2015. So we really want to build the momentum starting now, and that'll carry us forward in the next legislative session.
As an aside, where can we find you on social media and on the web?
So you can find us on Facebook at Regulate Rhode Island, just searching that. We're on Twitter as at RegulateRI, and then our website is just regulateri.com.
With a new legislature coming into effect, were there any winners or losers in this case? Did the loss of Ms. Samini, was that at all an issue for you? Anyone in particular that you hated to lose, or do you have any new friends?
Yeah, I mean, Representative Samini was certainly an ally, and we're sorry to see her lose out in that primary. I think we did, however, pick up a couple of very strong allies in Aaron Reckenberg in District 4 and Lauren Carson as well in Newport. So I think overall things turned out pretty good for us in the primary. So lost one, but picked up two pretty strong supporters.
By the way, we're big fans of Lauren Carson here on the show. She may be a little politically progressive for the three big guys sitting at this table, but on the other hand, she's on the right side of so many things. She's been a leading proponent in the anti-casino movement out in Newport, as well as being pro-regulation. So our hats off to her for taking someone out, nice enough guy, but clearly outside of the game at this point, and indirectly responsible for some of the legislative chicanery that went into getting the proposal on the ballot for Newport. The same legislation intact going forward, or do you have to retool, or do you think what you've got is ready for prime time?
I think it's basically there. There may be a few tweaks, depending on what the sponsors, feel if they want to change anything, sort of based on what we're seeing in Colorado and Washington. I don't expect that it's going to be very different. So basically the same idea. We want to create a system to license, growers who cultivate marijuana, and then we want to license some retailers. We're going to have the Department of Business Regulation set up that process, and then we're going to allow folks, just anyone over 21, to be able to, purchase up to an ounce of marijuana from these licensed stores and grow up to 2 plants in their home. So pretty much the same bill I expect, but we'll see in the coming months if there are any changes.
Is the current leadership because the first question is, how do you politely pressure the current leadership in the legislature to move things forward? I think that they have been, very focused on creating jobs, and Rhode Island certainly needs an economic boost, and I think that's definitely the angle that we've been pursuing with them, is to show that this is a part of a strategy. It's not a panacea by any means, but it's certainly a useful tool to create some businesses, create some jobs. Particularly because if we become the first state on the East Coast, that gives us a sort of head start advantage. I mean, we know that, anyone who, even opponents, see the writing on the wall and see this is going to happen. So if we can get there first before, these other states, then that means our businesses are going to be the ones that end up expanding into other states rather than the reverse. So I think it's a part of that narrative that we want to stick with and say that this is going to create, thousands of jobs. We see in Colorado, they've got, over 10,000, folks who are licensed to be employees of marijuana businesses. And that's just folks who directly handle marijuana. So we're not even talking about accountants, attorneys, security guards, things like that. So. A big issue for libertarians is the increasing militarization of our American police force. And funds for that seem to come from two different directions. Number one, surplus military equipment that's been channeled over from the various Gulf wars. But at the same time, the war on drugs seems to be a big proponent in pushing police departments to become, almost terroristic in themselves. The whole notion that, you bust someone, you get the money, you get to spend it. It's sort of a self-fulfilling prophecy. How, not only will you be accretive to income in the state in the form of additional tax revenues, but have there been any projections or studies at all relative to what this will save the criminal justice system in terms of headcount, money, anything?
Yeah, so there was an ACLU report that came out in 2013 that was looking at data from 2010, and that was, if you recall, that was when we still had we didn't have the decriminalization laws on the book. So it's slightly we're in kind of slightly different territory now. But if you look at that report, I believe it was somewhere in the range of $20 to $30 million that they estimated was spent by our state enforcing prohibition and arresting people for small amounts of marijuana. Now that we have decriminalization on the books, which makes it essentially a speeding ticket or a civil fine for possession of an ounce or less, it's hard to, we haven't seen any estimates on that. But I mean, I think it's not only the, no-knock raids, which one of the most tragic stories was a young baby, had a flash grenade thrown into her crib and was almost fatally wounded by that. We are also seeing the erosion of privacy rights in the name of the drug war. We're seeing, even things that libertarians might care about in terms of reproductive rights. Attempts to define a fetus as a person based on a mother using marijuana, during her pregnancy, that type of thing. So it's creeping in from many different directions, not only the militarization, but also the erosion of our Fourth Amendment rights and then these other things. So it's very insidious, the drug war. It's been a terrible, threat to those things.
Well, give us a rundown again of the event. Tell us some of the people who will be appearing, and then, of course, we'll want Tony to weigh in. and let us know what his participation will be. But go ahead, give us a rundown of the event again. We're all looking forward to this.
Yeah, so it's the Cannabis Caucus. It's coming up this Thursday, so September 18th, at 8 p.m. at Aurora in downtown Providence. That's on Westminster Street. And it's going to essentially be a gathering of our coalition. So we have, folks kind of from the left side of things, the progressive Democrats, some young Democrats, but also from the, sort of the more libertarian and Republican and conservative-leaning types of folks. So it's basically an open invitation to all of our coalition members, to anyone who's interested in this. And we have certainly extended the invitation to, various political leaders. And we hope that, we have a good turnout. We expect that. And it's just going to be a night to enjoy some good music for some local artists, but also to, meet and network with other members of the coalition and kind of build up some momentum for us.
Can you think of a single political issue in this state that draws more from more disparate groups?
I really can't. No, I think this one is a home run from no matter which political ideology you come at it from.
Well, that's great. Jared, thanks again for coming on. We're going to touch base with you again soon. You are listening to the Coalition on Talk Radio, AM 790, your source for news and business, Facebook.com, the Coalition Radio, Twitter, Coalition_radio. We'll be back in just a moment.
Attention gardeners, farmers, growers, homesteaders, and horticulturalists. Coming soon to 1889 Post Road in Warwick, Rhode Island, it's The Grow Store. For all your indoor gardening supplies, it's The Grow Store. Mike's Professional Tree Service offers top-of-the-line tree removal, trimming, stump grinding, stump removal, and so much more. Mike's Professional Tree Service will do everything to safeguard your home and property and is fully licensed and insured. Call them today at 401-823-7485 for a free estimate on tree service, tree removal, trimming, and tree care. That's 401-823-7585. Mike's Professional Tree Service are the tree experts serving all of Rhode Island. Online at mikesprotree.com. That's mikesprotree.com. Attention gardeners, farmers, growers, homesteaders, and horticulturalists. Coming soon to 1889 Post Road in Warwick, Rhode Island, it's The Grow Store. For all your indoor gardening supplies, it's The Grow Store. Midday Records is a label that is comprised of local artists and exists for the sole purpose of helping other local artists find new opportunities and to help build a more thriving New England music scene. Midday Records hosts the area's fastest-growing music-related networking event, the Midday Social, books Midday Records presents shows throughout New England, releases compilations featuring local music, promotes bands through the Midday blog, are the co-founders of Music for Pause, and has recently started an artist development and management division. Stay up to date with Midday Records by checking them out on your favorite social media site like Facebook and Twitter, and find them online at middayrecords.com. That's middayrecords.com.
Yes, we are the Coalition, covering all sides of the issues, broadcasting live on AM 790, your source for news and business. As we like to say, you can find us on Facebook.com/The Coalition Radio and on the mighty Twitter, Coalition_radio. I am the PO taxpayer. In studio today, we have Mike Rollins, chairman of the Libertarian Party, the newly emergent, the newly refreshed, ready for battle, ready to go to the turf, ready to take on the block people as we war against all things big government in the state, particularly Catherine Chafee Taylor, who is the opposition to our own Tony Jones, running for lieutenant governor, who hashtag shut it down. We have in studio tonight a couple of folks from the Brown Political Review. Joining us in an impromptu session is Maria Paz on on the microphone here.
Hello.
Hi. That's okay. Just talk. We're gonna have fun here for a minute or two. We just got a couple
Sure.
minutes before the show closes.
Let's do it.
What's your thoughts so far? As how long have you been on the Brown Political Review?
I've been 2 years.
2 years.
No, this is my second year.
Second year. All right. What? Give us an idea of some of the things you've had the chance to cover.
Well, actually, we're part of the media team, so we've actually been doing kind of